The leak channels are going to have a field day with this one if they haven't already been having one. They have. And that's not really my bag, but we're going to talk about Geno. Yes, again, I'm not going to lie. The dream's been dead for quite some time, but after today's Nintendo Direct, well, who are we kidding? That was a goddamn Smash Direct, and you know it. It was just disguised to be a Nintendo Direct. You remember Geno, right? The doll from Super Mario RPG, the highly requested character that didn't make the base roster, the character that brings joy to so many while simultaneously making others angry because they don't get how awesome he is. That one. It was confirmed in today's Nintendo Direct, or if you're watching this in the future, on September 4th. It was confirmed that Nintendo will be adding additional characters to Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Obviously following the Fighter's Pass, which contains 5 characters. I mean, it's not like I haven't been saying this forever, but that's cool. I mean, it's officially confirmed now, which is good. What does this even mean? It means that Geno is finally coming to Smash. Yes, for the naysayers, the haters, and other synonyms that I can't come up with right now, for those who don't want Geno or don't think he's possible, I need you to hear me out on this one. And let's put the arbitrary rules that we made up aside, like, but he's a spirit, or he's an assist trophy. Because Zero from Mega Man X is going to be a Mii costume on top of being an assist trophy. There are no rules, nothing matters anymore, we're in the end game now. And before all the comments come, I do realize that, yeah, maybe I'm backpedaling a little bit on these arbitrary rules, but I don't know. I just want to believe at this point. And I do realize that Zero has previously been a Mii costume, but they're reintroducing him now, and for some reason, we have yet to see Geno's Mii costume, and we're going to talk about that more, so hang tight. If we go back to the fabled ballot that was used in Smash 4, and this is important to remember because some of the most requested characters on it were Ridley, King K. Rool, Banjo-Kazooie, and yes, Geno. But here we are in September of 2019, and all of those characters are in the game, with the exception of our little blue friend. Our other little blue friend. But why is Geno so important? Why can't people stop talking about him? Well, Super Mario RPG Legend of the Seven Stars was a cult classic Mario game, and the first Mario RPG, which the story was based around a doll who was given life by a warrior from Star Road, a higher authority sent to restore peace to Mario's world, which was being terrorized by Smithy, a Santa Claus-looking baddie from another dimension. Well, Geno eventually joined Mario's party, and he's a badass. A lot of people like him. If you haven't played the game, it's worth a play. Please go back and give it a shot, especially if you love Paper Mario games. The timed attack system is incredibly fun, the writing is wacky, and since that game released back in 1996, he's made a cameo in Mario & Luigi Superstar Saga, and most recently, Super Smash Bros. For the Wii U and 3DS as a Mii costume. He was a Mii costume in Smash 4, as was King K. Rool, but when Hero joined the roster and it was a Square Enix showcase, Geno was missing. The Mii costume has yet to be seen again, and that was the presumed pattern until Hero released. Joker was released with additional Persona Mii costumes, Hero came with some Dragon Quest ones, and a lot of people thought that Geno would also be in those included costumes. Here's what I think went down. Nintendo and Square Enix meet to discuss adding Hero to Challenger Pack 2, but when they're there, and that's me assuming that Sakurai went on over to Square HQ for this meeting, and they likely did, and when they're there, the topic of Geno is obviously going to come up. They're going to have to address that blue elephant in the room, which is Geno, because they either have to re-add the Mii costume to the game because he was in Smash 4, or drop it completely, right? Wrong. Now, cut to the negotiations for a second character from Square Enix because they'll make way more money. Or maybe Nintendo owns the rights to Geno right now, but regardless, let me just live out this dream for a little while longer. Geno has been long requested, and Sakurai stated himself that he would love to put the character in the game. Hell, he even considered him for Brawl, but it wasn't possible because of the licensing issues with Square. Naturally, the following game brought him in some shape or form with the Mii Gunner outfit. What about his moveset? What would that look like? We talked about this plenty of times, but honestly, I bet he could play a lot like Mega Man. In his game, he has a lot of rocket punches and other ranged spells that Sakurai and his team could have a field day with. Let's also talk about how Sakurai mentioned that the additional DLC will bring even more characters to Smash to make even more fans happy and bring additional universes together. Now, please don't get that twisted because I'm extremely grateful for what we got. I mean, I've made somewhat of a career out of it, but Geno is the only piece of the Triforce that's still missing for me. And speaking of Mii costumes, we also just got Sans in the game. A character that has been long requested. Granted, he's a Mii costume, and he looks damn good for one, but you can bet that I will be picking him up despite not even having played Undertale. If we can reach that level of fan service, where Toby Fox goes over to Sakurai's house to play Smash with him, who's to say that Geno isn't coming? He has to. I already tweeted that I would get a Geno tattoo if I did, and I'm sure that solidified the decision for Nintendo and Sakurai. Now, we don't know how many additional DLC characters are coming after the Fighters Pass because Nintendo's details were very vague, and that's okay. It could be 1, it could be 5, it could be 10, but regardless, this is Nintendo's best move because I've said it multiple times, we are not going to get another Smash game for a while. Fighting games have kind of evolved into these seasonal sporting events to lengthen their lifespan. Take a look at games like Street Fighter and Tekken, who have added many characters over multiple seasons to keep the hype waves coming. It's almost become predictable at this point. Nintendo would be stupid not to cash in on an opportunity like that considering how many millions of copies of the game are out there. And to nobody's surprise, they did. They could keep going back to the same well, it costs less money to continue to add onto an existing game, and the margins are much higher. And really, isn't this the ultimate version of Super Smash Bros.? Alright, we went a bit off track, but let's get back to Geno. The point I'm driving home here is that he's still the one long-standing character that has a group of fans that have yet to get some love. Don't get me wrong, there's a lot of characters who have big followings and a big voice with their fans, but Geno has been mentioned several times from the man himself. Regardless, some of you are still going to complain, but that's too bad because this video is about Geno. This is my last plea. It doesn't happen here, it's never going to happen. And from the looks of it, it seems like they're going to finish up the Fighters Pass with all third-party characters, then likely take a break until E3 2020, which is what I could see happening. And that's where the next batch of information will take place, whether it's dropping a solo character or announcing a Fighters Pass if they want to commit to another 5, but there presumably won't be more than a couple months between the release of Character 5 and the announcement of Character 6. Who knows, maybe Geno will end up with the same character treatment as Sans. I mean, he was already a Mii costume, but maybe he'll get a, let's call it a deluxe Mii costume, and he'll come with a music track like Beware of the Forest Mushrooms or Super Mario RPG's boss fight theme. But for the sake of my sanity, I'm banking on the former because I think he can offer a lot more than what Mii Gunner has. I gotta tell you, it was weird to make the decision to come back and do a Geno video almost a year after the game's release and 4 characters into the Fighters Pass, but this was a bombshell that Nintendo dropped during what was otherwise a pretty good direct. Also, Geno is what started the tremendous growth of my channel, so it's time for it to come full circle. And for those of you who are anti-Geno, I'm curious to know why, but some of the more common arguments I've heard are there are more characters that are deserving of a spot, which is totally subjective. There's plenty of characters who have made it into Smash through the years that definitely go against that argument for me personally, but who am I to say who should be added? And this goes both ways, by the way. And I'm also not against any character making it into Smash if it pleases a group of fans. This included Sans, who I'm happy got some representation, Shantae, Bandana D, Doomguy, Dante, whoever. Another popular argument is he's from a dead franchise. Well, let's look at characters like Ice Climbers, Rob, Mr. Game & Watch, and I hate to say it, but Mother, and there are people that are still asking for Porky. And I wouldn't exactly call it a dead franchise, it just evolved into the Paper Mario franchise. He's only been in one game, but so have a number of characters that are in Smash. Another Mario character, shut up. He's a spirit, correct, and this is the most valid argument, truth be told, but let's go back to that arbitrary rules thing that I mentioned earlier because we do not know what is going to happen after the Fighters Pass. I think E3 2020 is where Nintendo will potentially open a lot of eyes regarding what's going to be happening with additional DLC, and if I end up being wrong, then I'm wrong, and I'll delete this video and deny that it ever existed while I cry myself to sleep every night. But one thing you should not doubt is the power of money, and Nintendo is a business just like any other, so for all we know, they may have plans to pump out original characters, Echo Fighters, additional costumes. Okay, maybe that last one isn't very likely, but just remember that it's infinitely more profitable to continue to add on to an existing game than it is to make a new one. And for those of you who still believe, manifest yourselves in the comment section and let the Blue Cape Army rise up to where we belong, because it's time for Geno to come home.